Hello, Divine Beings. Let's continue on with the Author Talk series from my upcoming book, Journey from the Ego to the Heart Center. I'm now going to reflect about Chapter 9, which is the benefits of silent retreating. This was an interesting time. So back in 2018, after I'd done the mindfulness course, I just had this inner calling that you, Suzanne, need to go on a silent retreat. You need to now go to the next level. And I was fortunate enough to find a 7-day retreat away up in the hillside, amongst nature. I would be with a group of strangers. I would actually have my own room, which was quite good, but we were advised to just totally switch off from digital technology. So turn off the phones, bring less, only bring your yoga mats, whatever you need for comfort as you sit through meditation, but everything else would be provided. So we would eat vegetarian, vegan meals, and everybody that attended the retreat would have a chore. So it would either be like cleaning or having to set up the room or chopping vegetables for dinner. So I was in the group that was chopping vegetables for the chef to use to make the meals that evening. And I enjoyed that because I've got a background in consumer science and cooking. That was fun. I enjoyed doing that, so it didn't bother me. So when I arrived there, I remember looking at the setup, and it was just beautiful to be away from the hustle and bustle of life. And there was this little bit of a feeling of nervousness because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how I was going to cope. Many of my friends and family thought I was crazy going on a retreat for 7 days, but I just knew that it was my thing that I had to do. It was a calling and it was part of my spiritual journey. I wanted to witness my ego and continue working on it and see what the mind does when you're without any stimuli, like what happens. I wanted to experience that. So when I arrived there, it was good. We all had our own room. We were advised that we would be woken at 5 o'clock with the sound of this bell that would just pass through all the rooms to wake us up. And that was fine. I mean, I was an early riser, so it didn't bother me. Then we were told to come to the yoga wellness room, and that's when we would begin the day, full meditation. Sometimes in silence, so we would just have to focus on our breath, or the facilitator would take us through a guide. Now I'm going to admit the first probably day or two I slept most of it. I think my body was just tired, and even though I tried to stay awake, I just couldn't. It's like I just didn't have the energy. By day 3 I got better. I noticed that my mind would get distracted, but then I would try to bring myself back to the breath. So it's this inner dialogue almost that you have with yourself, because you start to witness how your mind gets distracted. It'll follow an itch, it will follow a sound outside, and you start to go, oh, I wonder what that is. You start having this internal dialogue with yourself. For those of you that don't understand what mindfulness is, it's when you focus on the activity. So for me at the start, my mind was busy. So imagine every day you just catch certain thoughts, you have disruption, you think negatively, you might be a multitasker, that's a busy mind. But when you're doing something in a mindful way, you're totally in it. If you're reading, you're not having the phone in the background listening to music. If you are drinking a cup of tea or your coffee, you're looking at the coffee, you're taking the breath, you're looking at the color, you're feeling the warmth of the cup, you're totally immersed in it. For some people that have a busy mind, it feels like you're in a cafe and there's multiple conversations going on. But over time, you become the observer. You're able to sort of sit in the booth and watch and just see it as it is. You're not judging it. You're not trying to change it. You're at a very neutral state of mind, okay? So that's what I learned with mindfulness. It's being able to be fully present and not getting too caught up in the story, in the narrative, but you're just able to watch and observe and pause. Learn to pause as well. So, and what I found over those 7 days, it was really good not to have to do small talk. Like when you're lining up for your food, sometimes you feel like you got to talk and you got to smile and have a chit chat. It's so good to just line up and just smile and just nod your head like you acknowledge that the person is there, but you don't have to have a conversation with anyone. And then you grab your meal and you sit down, and it's, you know, either a curry with rice or it's a beautiful soup, and you're just so in gratitude, like for someone that's made the meal, for the people that have chopped the vegetables. It's just, you just feel so abundant and so appreciative that you are just in this whole environment. And I remember by day 4, I was really in sort of a rhythm with the mindfulness and the meditation. We would also have activities to do. So during the day we would be told, I'll go for a mindful walk, and that's like a very slow walk. It's like fully present with every step. You might go up to the tree and you look at the leaves and you might touch the bark, and all your senses are amplified. Like you really feel and you notice, and it's those little things that you become so appreciative. Everything feels like a miracle. It's such a beautiful state of being, which we don't allow ourselves to do, because as humans we like to do. But think about the word human being. Being is the missing component. If we made more time to be, I'm sure that we would be a much happier and a much more pleasant state of mind. But we don't allow ourselves. It's like we've created this society that it's a badge of honor to be busy. Like you can't just sit around and just be still. That's considered lazy. But what I've found is sometimes it's good to just be present and not have to feel like you've got to pick something up, or you've got to play on your phone, or you've got to listen to music, or you've got to talk just to fill in the space and the gap. Sometimes I've gone away with my bestie and we're in the car and I'm comfortable in our silence. Even with my own husband, I don't feel like I have to talk to him all the time. I find some people, they just talk. I'm like, how do you have so much to talk about? It's like, I can't do small talk. I love deep and meaningful talk. But if it's just small chit chat just to fill in the space, for me, it's just, it doesn't make sense. I don't understand it. And I don't know if maybe that's the ego feeling uncomfortable in the presence of silence. I'm not sure. But what I must say is that the silent retreat, I highly recommend it. I know people think it's a bit woo-woo and they find it weird, like why would you want to go away? But you finally get to know who you are. You finally get to meet yourself for the first time. We don't really get to meet ourselves. We don't get to know ourselves on a deep level, especially on a spiritual level. And that's what I loved about the silent retreat. I wasn't the mum, I wasn't the wife, I wasn't the daughter. There was no labels. I was just there. I was just there enjoying this moment of being. And it was just an energetic frequency. No one knew me. And I liked that. I actually enjoyed not being known to anyone. I was a mystery. And that's how it was for everybody, I'm sure. No one really knew each other unless you came with a friend, or you may have known the facilitator if you worked with him before. But everybody was new to me. They were all strangers, but I didn't care. I felt safe. I felt comfortable. And I was able to just drop into this space of being, into this restfulness of not having to just show up every day and do. It was so lovely to just be. And that was the best takeaway, is just knowing that I can do it. Like I've got the ability to witness myself and learn about how my mind thinks, learn about what triggers me, and practice taming it. I was able to tame the mind. I was able to train the mental dialogue that sometimes gets lost. It just goes and follows the cloud in the sky. I was able to just observe the cloud and not get caught up to follow it. And I think when you can get to that place, life becomes simpler, it becomes more peaceful, and you just start to just go, yep, now this is my new baseline. And I was able to come home and I hugged my family, and as much as I needed it and I missed them, it was a real upgrade for me. I started to notice new improvements. My body had a mental upgrade. It started to upgrade into a new state of consciousness. And that was self-awareness, self-realization, and appreciation of what I'm capable of, without all the noise, without all the distraction. So I finish off with this saying, the benefit of retreating is giving your body time to totally relax and recoup and come back to just being one with the self and nature. I highly recommend once in your life to book yourself into a silent retreat, to witness your busy mind and experience the death of the ego. You will come back home feeling so attuned, rejuvenated, and in total bliss. And that is the end of chapter 9. Bye for now.